how to use this module. So overall, Lilith helps us balance repressed feminine energy in all aspects of your chart, but very much helps with aligning with the North Node and organizing wisdom of the South Node. So most likely you've already watched the North Node trainings, and if not, I'll just give you a brief overview. The North Node is where we are going in this lifetime, and the South Node is basically our wisdom reservoir. We don't need to repeat any of the things there, but we can draw on them from wisdom to support us in our creation of ourself for this lifetime. So that's fabulous. And you can use it for any other aspects of your chart that you want to develop. But this is why I got obsessed with Lilith, because it helps your childhood make sense. And so for me, I started the inner child journey because I had so much repressed emotions that I had a psychosomatic injury where I dealt with chronic pain and migraines and neck tension. Like I literally felt like there was a brick inside my neck. Like I was convinced that there was a bone there that did not belong because that was the intensity of the internal stiffness that I felt. And then eventually the pressure got to be so much that 2 discs tore in my neck. And I wasn't rear-ended. I didn't do, a crazy barbell exercise the week before. Like it just was a buildup. And that buildup is partially because of my bone structure, partially because I wasn't able to listen to actually how I feel. And I spent my life trying to prove and perform because of my childhood experiences. And then I had this like underlying low grade level of fear operating all the time because my mom had a stalker. So when I realized this stuff about myself, I'm like, oh my God, of course, this makes sense for how my body was manifesting itself in dis-ease. And when I learned that a psychosomatic injury is something that happens to your body, not by force, not by an external accident. So if something goes wrong in your body, it is because of repressed emotion. Well, if it's repressed emotion and it got that bad to cause cervical disc tears, I'm just supposed to sit down with a journal and like figure out like what I'm upset about. I'm just supposed to feel myself. Like, how do you do that? So the extent that I went into the unconscious is why I know so much and why the system is so expansive. Because if you are suffering in your body, if you've got inflammation, of course, there's environmental factors and the toxicity in our food. But if there's things that you just cannot get rid of in your body, no matter how hard you try and all the health things that you do, it's unconscious energy. And it could be karmic energy, which I believe I had a lot of that because I have a stellium of planets in the 7th house in Libra. And I have 4, I think, planets in retrograde. And I'm a Pisces sun 12th house. So that's a lot of energy. And I really remember feeling as a kid always kind of like I sucked. I always had a pretty negative self-image or self-esteem about myself. So to me, that all makes sense. So I'm sharing this with you because if you're really struggling with your body in pain, it's like, how are you supposed to process these emotions if they are that far underground in your body that you only experience them physically? And so this Lilith placement and the Chiron placement that we're going to get into later, and your South Node placement that just kind of goes along with the North Node training, we really get to like go through the back end to be like, does this make sense? If you read this about Lilith, does any of this resonate? Does this feel like anything that you've experienced before? And then you're like, oh yeah, it reminds me of that time, my dad. It reminds me of that time, my mom. Oh, so if I'm going to become whatever it is in your North Node, it makes sense that these things happened in my childhood. It makes sense that those souls were your best spiritual teachers, even though it broke your heart in the process. But that was that soul contract. So it's really, really helpful to take the edge off of your processing and keep you motivated and inspired to do your inner child work, because you actually have something, even though this is energetic, it's quite tangible once you see it on paper of how this archetype is going to show up in your life.